Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the primary weapon, the Secura Penta. Now the Penta has three different variants of itself. It has the Penta, the Carmine Penta, and the Secura Penta. But out of those three, the Secura Penta is really the clear winner for the best version of that Penta. And so that's why we're going to be focusing on this version of the Penta today. But before we start, let's go over our commenter board. Our first commenter of the last video was Thunder Bear Gaming, and our top commenter of the last video was Zedra. And then we have our recent channel supporters here of Whoopty Wham, Nice Bear, and Colonel 06. Thank you so much for your support. Unique and interesting things about the Secura Penta is that it's a grenade launcher, so it's going to fire grenades with a 6-meter explosion radius. Now these grenades don't normally explode on their own. You have to fire it with the primary fire and then alternate fire to detonate those grenades. However, an augment we're going to be using on our weapon is going to change that. Another unique thing to the Secura Penta is that it comes with innate blast on the radial attack of it. But again, the augment we're going to be using is going to change that as well. And then the next thing that's unique to the Secura Penta is because it's a syndicate weapon, it has a syndicate effect here, where once you get a certain amount of affinity, it's going to do this radial explosion. In this case, it's going to be a radiation explosion. It's going to restore 25% of your shields and increase your max shield capacity by 50% for 30 seconds. Those shield amounts are based on unmodded base shields, so it's not as impressive as you would think, but it's still kind of nice as a little bonus extra. So now I want to go over the augment for the Secura Penta. And the Penta actually has a few augments for it. However, only one of them pulls it from the depths of being a bad meme weapon into actually being a pretty good valid weapon in the game. And that's napalm grenades. And this is going to do a few things. The first and most impactful thing this does is this makes those grenades explode on contact, which is huge for this weapon, because normally this is so awkward to use. You have to primary fire and then alt fire and primary fire and alt fire just to explode your grenades. This makes it where your grenades just explode on contact. You don't have to worry about alternate firing. You can still alternate click if you want to airburst the grenades, but I don't suggest you do that because if you look here, you actually get more damage on direct hits rather than the radial. The next thing napalm grenades does is it removes your innate blast that you would get on the weapon and instead gives you pure heat, and it also adds heat on the direct hit as well. The grenades are also going to leave a burning patch on impact. That patch is going to last for about 5 seconds. And this also gives you a plus 30 final status chance. So final status chances means that 30 goes at the very end of the equation there. I want to go over one more mod slot in detail before we go over all of the mods. And that's going to be the second mod slot here of bladed rounds. Now, if you didn't know, this is actually my second video for the Secura Penta. My first one was about a year and a half ago. So it's kind of old now. And my first build for this looked exactly the same, except it had primed Firestorm over where we have bladed rounds now. And this still remains a pretty good setup for the Secura Penta. However, like we were saying before, the Secura Penta does do more damage on direct rather than it does its radial. So it got me thinking that there probably is a better way to build out the Secura Penta. Again, I think the primed Firestorm setup is still okay. I just feel like there's better ways to actually build it out. So what I did is I did some testing this morning between 4 different mods. I tested Galvanized Scope here, which is kind of a weird choice for the Secura Penta because it requires headshots, but I just wanted to throw it in the mix anyway. I tested Bladed Rounds, I tested Hammer Shot, and I tested a 60-60 heat mod. Now, of course, with the 60-60 heat mod, I had to kind of shift things around and put it at the end. That way it didn't mess anything up. But I wanted to test all 4 of those and see which one was performing the best. So I did 5-minute kill per minute run, or 5-minute kill testing runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. Galvanized Scope got 392, 337. Those big differences are probably just because of the inconsistencies with Scope, especially on the Penta, because it's not the easiest weapon to get headshots with. So there's a little bit of inconsistencies there where one actually did pretty good and one did really bad, like the worst out of all of them. Bladed Rounds was 383 and 417. Hammer Shot was 380 and 400. And the 60-60 heat mod was 342 and 370. Now there's not huge differences between all 4 of these runs. And these were also only 5-minute tests and I only did 2 each. So, there is some, variables there that you could definitely argue. But if we wanted to try to extract data from them, then that means Bladed Rounds and Hammer Shot performed pretty close to each other. and they performed better than galvanized scope and heat, and the 6060 heat mod, I should say. And so this slot, the best mod for it, I believe, is either going to be bladed rounds or hammer shot. Bladed rounds is 120% crit damage extra, and hammer shot is 60% crit damage extra, but you get 80% status chance. So that'll be up to you. Again, they performed very, very similarly. I'm going to pick bladed rounds myself, but I think if you went hammer shot, that's completely fine as well. Okay, so now let's go over the rest of the mods. We have galvanized chamber for multi-shot. The Penta has a weird thing where it can only ever have 5 grenades out at a time. So just keep in mind, when galvanized chamber is fully stacked up, you're going to be at a 3.3 multi-shot, which means that you only have 1.7 left over until that multi-shot basically just gets wasted and acts like it wasn't there. And so if you have a Riven with multi-shot, just remember that anything past 170% extra multi-shot is pretty much just going to act like it's not there. It's going to be wasted. Bladed rounds for critical damage, critical delay for critical chance, vital sense for critical damage, hunter munitions for a 30% chance to apply a slash proc on a critical. Napalm grenades we already went over. In the next 2 mod slots, we're going to be making viral. So that's going to be the 6060 toxic mod of Malignant Force, mixed with the 6060 cold mod of Rhyme rounds to make viral. And in the Exiles slot, you really need to be picking terminal velocity just because the weapon is so slow to shoot those grenades out. They don't go very far. It's actually extremely awkward and still hard to use if you don't use terminal velocity because of that. Terminal velocity makes it much more usable. However, the weapon does have kind of ammo issues. You won't have ammo issues on dense enemy maps. So like when I do the showcase on Lewis Circulus, that's a very enemy dense map. I'm not going to have any ammo issues there. But on other game modes, I can definitely see people having ammo issues, and I've had ammo issues with this on other game modes as well. So Prime Sniper ammo mutation remains an option because of that, but just remember that it's not going to feel as comfortable using this instead of terminal velocity. Terminal velocity really makes the weapon much, much more comfortable to use. And in the Arcane slot, we're going to be going for Primary Merciless. This is going to be 360% flat damage and a plus 30% reload speed. This is how you build out the primary weapon, the Secura Penta. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now we'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion showcasing the weapon, and when that's done, we'll come back to the Orbiter and we'll give it its final score and rank. So I'll see you guys again after the gameplay. Alrighty, we're about to start this gameplay portion up. We're going to showcase the Secura Penta, everyone's favorite weapon. And we'll see how it does. Try not to miss all of my shots here. Something I didn't notice is that something like the Kuva Ogress, how it has that augment where it creates those fire fields. Those fire fields on the Kuva Ogress are affected by Primed Firestorm, but the fire fields on this weapon's augment are not affected by Primed Firestorm. So it will not increase the size of them. They're always just going to be kind of like this small little, I don't know what that is, maybe like a 3-meter field? I think of this as like a faster firing, shorter range Toncore. That's kind of what it feels like. I guess it's not exactly a one-for-one comparison, but it's kind of a good comparison. I actually really don't like the syndicate effect though of radiation. Maybe this is a hot take, but I feel like radiation is a DPS decrease. It is the worst status in the game. It makes the enemies fight each other. Their heads all turn in different directions where you can no longer get headshots. They stay in rooms instead of like coming to you. I feel like it's an overall DPS decrease to have radiation. And so the fact that the syndicate effect like procs radiation around you is a little bit annoying. Some people may like it though, but I'm a radiation hater. I'm a radiation hater. I know, hot take, I know. Obviously, the shield effect you get is very good on Inaros. Inaros probably makes the most use out of that shield effect, along with Nidus, of course. That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke. Definitely not. So, and just consider this is with terminal velocity. So you can see like how this weapon still has a pretty like big drop on the projectile. So that's why I'm saying like you may think you want to run ammo mutation because like of the ammo issues, and I guess it's a valid choice, but like man, this weapon drops already. Like without terminal velocity, it's going to drop even more. We got Malice. Got to be a little bit careful. He's put the mag bubble on us. Now it should be pretty safe to shoot him. Really good against the Acolyte, though. I mean, look at this, chunking him down. Good Acolyte killer. I'm really glad when I did the testing today that Galvanized Scope did not win out, because I think if I did a build with Galvanized Scope on the Secura Penta, people would would come for me with pitchforks. I wanted to test it anyway though. I put Scope into the mods I was testing, but I was like, oh man, if Scope wins out and I do a build with Scope on the Penta, people are gonna go crazy. Not in a good way. I was gonna get the life support there, but we're only doing 5 minutes, so I don't think I need it. Because you could get headshots. I mean, you could get headshots with it. It's not that hard to get headshots with Scope on this type of a map where, like, you know, the floor is pretty level. Enemies are all the same head height. But it's a pain on other enemy types, right? Okay, we'll have Thraxus coming in about 5 seconds. Keep getting my weapon stolen. Probably get this Trackmaster out of here so he doesn't do that. Let's get these Thraxes down. It'll do pretty good against the Thraxes. There we go. It's about 5 minutes in. We're at 379. Which is, yeah, it's pretty much where we were with Bladed Rounds. We were 383 and 417 in our testing. I kind of screwed around a little bit in this one just to show off the weapon a bit, but not too far off. So we'll go back to the Orbiter now. Welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. So let's go over how the Secura Penta did in its 3 10-minute runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. It got 685, 641, and 660 kills, putting it in the B tier for kill per minute potential. When it comes to single target, it does pretty good. It chunks down the Acolyte, does pretty decent against Thraxes. It's definitely not S tier. I'm kind of struggling between really, really high B tier or really, really low A tier, but I think we'll give it A tier for single target potential. And when it comes to ease of use, this is another weird weapon to rate because most of the time AoE weapons are very easy to use. You just kind of shoot at the floor and they do damage. This one though, you get more damage out of that direct hit. You still get a lot of your kills and a lot of damage through the radial, but you do want to be directly hitting dudes. And so this is not as easy to use as like a Brahma or a Tsar is. So I wouldn't say it's S, probably in between B or A. I think we'll give it a B tier for ease of use, just because it has that significant drop that can make it harder to actually get your direct hits. but at the end of the day, it is still an AoE weapon, so even if you miss, you're still doing some damage. So I think B tier is still fine for ease of use. So that's my take. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.